Hey, what's going on, everyone? Here at the YUMA Regional with the first place, Andy.
Yep.
You're loving it. Tell me the deck you're playing, man.
I played pure MELODIOUS today to win the YUMA Arizona Regionals. Why did I wanted to play this deck because it seems like most of the format is centered around hand trapping your opponent and comboing on your turn, just try to kill them. I like mid-range decks, and this is probably like perfect mid-range, to be honest. Put like a lot of powerful cards, and people kind of focus on this as like, or this and Pxxxnda as just like an accessory, but like, these cards are actually like really strong on their own. So
yeah. Before we start, do you have any shout-outs? Anything big you want to say before we get into the list?
Shout out to Team MYST.
Shout out Team MYST, baby.
Shout out to Team MYST Plays. Shout out to Ian for getting me here. I wouldn't be here.
Thanks, Ian.
Today, literally. Also shout out to Anthony Rivero, because this is his deck. I also wouldn't be here if he wasn't here. So there's that. She's on community, of course. Love you guys. The girly talk, you guys know who you are.
If you know, you know.
Yeah.
All right, man. Let's get into the list, baby.
Into the list. Okay. So, MELODIOUS. So I play pure MELODIOUS, so I'm just playing a bunch of the MELODIOUS monsters. It's 3 refrain, 3 couplet, 2 soprano, 2 sonata, 1 canon, 1 aria, and 1 chopina. So these are all the monsters. In an engine build, you don't max out on this card, but this card's like actually good to draw when you have other MELODIOUS monsters as well. So like it's still combo. Like you actually don't mind seeing this. Refrain is 1 card combo. You play these as accessory pieces to your engine, and I know a lot of lists are playing 2 of these, so I just mimicked it, but I didn't understand why. It's pretty good. It helps you push for game really fast or really easily, because this thing is not once per turn to summon, and it boosts everything by 500. It's pretty sick. It's probably a flex spot to cut, considering everything. That might be like a spot to consider touching in the future. Canon is also kind of in the same category, but it's actually hard once per turn. But the idea is with this card is that if I'm trying to go for game, I'm going to summon it off of Bloom Harmonist, and Bloom Harmonist summons everything in defense. So you summon this, and then this tilts a big one, potentially this or a different monster, into attack to help you actually game. So that's what it was really useful for. In addition to just like randomly extending in hands, because you can special summon from your hand just like this if you have MELODIOUS. And probably the best card in my deck, not gonna lie. This card put a lot of people in like weird positions. I would summon it off of like solo or first movement. Or off of a Bloom Harmonist, or even off of this in some hands, and it would just turn off all of my opponent's cards that like targeted. It's like really sick. And some decks just can't handle that. It's like part of the reason why your board's like actually like unbeatable in some cases. So definitely play the 1. And then the 1 chopina, of course. Usually you bring it off of this, and it's like the only main deck MYST that you can play, and you need this to be able to fuse into at-12. So good at 1. For sure. And then that's the monsters. I played the spell cards as well. These are of course like the main or major reasons to play the deck besides the new pendulum monsters. Pxxxnda is stupid. I don't know why I printed all of these cards, and then while this card existed, it's like they probably understood that it would make it really good, but this card's insane. Not once per turn. It's like a bomb for your opponent. I have a couple of games where like my opponent would ash this, I'd find this off of Prosperity and just play it again. And there's like a cool thing you can do with that too is like I would draw it off of Concerto sometimes too. So I would just blink my entire board with that 12 and then play this to make the DD Crow as like the last piece of the Unbreakable Ward. So good card, very very good card. Probably gonna get hit. And then 3 first movement. This card is Italy for. This card's also like just a starter. It'll usually find you your refrain, or in some cases I would use it to summon Aria, so that my plays go through without my opponent Veiler and confirming me or any other things. So very very good card. Incredibly overpriced, but it is what it is. And the 1 Concerto. I'm playing Prod of Prosperity, so I didn't play 2 like so the builds with Desires are playing, and it was fine. There would actually come up a few times where I had resolved Prosperity that turn. It was difficult to put this card back into the deck, and especially like if your opponent doesn't actually do anything with your board, it's kind of awkward to just like put this back into your deck. But yeah, it was good at 1. I'm very satisfied with Prosperity. It was definitely the right card to play today. So that's all the Melodious cards. The next part of the deck is the hand traps, the accessories to mid-range. So the reasoning behind all of these cards, let's see. Ash beats everything. Probably don't need to explain much about this card. Veiler and Imperm are also staples. Don't need to explain much about those. This, I think, is a lot of spots people are playing. Or this is probably a flex spot. You could play like Talents. I know some people, or the original list, were playing like Ghost Ogre. I tried Ghost Bell too, but I ended up switching to this card just because it's kind of like a worse Veiler or Imperm. Like randomly okay as a 6th card too, depending on what your opponent's board has. So it did its job, but I don't know, I might play a different card. But this is what your flex spots would be. This is the extra Veilers and Imperms. That's what I'm going to draw. And 3 Herald. All of the Melodious monsters are fairies and Herald, or if you have a live Herald in your hand against your opponent, it's like a bomb. It's just like, I'd kill a lot of people with this today. And the last few cards, 3 Pot of Prosperity for consistency. Some lists are playing Desires. I don't like the logic behind that, as people are saying it's like, oh, they play Desires because this is a really card-hungry card, but that's not how that works, I'm pretty sure. You don't always see both cards together, and in my experience playing with Desires, it actually like screwed me over a lot too, where I would like banish all my scales, or I'd banish the Chopina, or I banish all my Sopranos, and just like, oh, what do I do, you know? And more often than not, Prosperity just finds you the card that you're missing. So, like I would consider this card a starter, just like, their odds of finding like, a card that you actually want to play with off the top 6 is really high in this deck. So I don't think I ever miss off of this card. And then last couple of cards to play: Call by the Grave, God card. Every other deck in the format wants to hand trap you, or your Ostinato, or your like first solo, so you definitely want to play this. And then the last card is the Rivalry. I know some decks are side decking this, but I was main decking it for Snake Eyes and just like random like wins, depending on the matchup for today. So I think at times that I was drawing it, I already had my board, so it was like this, like I won that turn without even having to play this card or even use it. So in theory, it's good, and I don't have a way to prove it though. But yeah, so that's it for the main deck, and I'll go to the extra deck. So these are all the Melodious monsters that I've played. This card could probably be at 3. Sometimes in long grind games, like you want a 3rd one, just cause you go through them pretty quickly. At 12, this and this are like the quintessential pieces of your board. Like you have this and Aria, and it's just like your opponent can never do anything to you. It's like the unbreakable wall for 10-5 Dragon too. It's like I had that like every game and they just couldn't do anything. It's pretty sick. I also don't understand why this card is played. I just saw that the other lists were playing it, so I played it too. But I'd just banish this off for Prosperity most games, and also another God card. This card's insane too. Summon 2 from your deck. Like it kind of happens where it reminds me of like Anaconda format, where people would like hand trap your brains out, and then you just play this as the last card, and it's like I don't have anything for this, and you lose. So, and those are all the Melodious monsters. I play the one Gravity Controller for when you start with Baja and you summon it into the extra monster zone. Sometimes it gets imperm and you need to put it and sack it into the graveyard to be able to play. Point of caution though is if you do this, you can't go in for this line the same turn. So, just a word of caution there. SP Little Knight, shout out to Tito for letting me borrow this. It randomly comes up where I needed like sack 2 monsters to make a good card to like buy me more time. Like especially in the scenarios where I wasn't able to just kill somebody straight up and I had to play safe. So I made this card, and then played these other ones here. This one actually came up too. This one's really cool. I was able to out skill drain playing this card. Underworld Goddess as an out for unoutable monsters. This is the same. Or I played this for the same reason I played this, just to clear boards, or clear my monsters if I have or had to. And Baguska, for the hands where you can play, or where you get Shifter, but you can like make this card. I never made it, but that's why it's in there. And then Typhon. I should have made this card more, because I had a couple of hands during the regionals today where I'd have nothing but hand traps, and this like would have given me like a monster to play with. So there's something to like poke things down with, instead, as opposed to just like standing there and just like leaving my opponent's monsters on the board. So I should have been making this card more, but majority of times I was banishing these off of Prosperity. So didn't really make a whole lot of those today. Just really focus on this and SP and like these three. I made more most than anything that was out of these today. So that's it for the extra deck. One thing I might change is probably just play an extra Baja, but that's it. And then on to the side deck. I played the one Tam Tam as a time card. It didn't come up today, but it's in there for those scenarios where you have like 6 minutes left in time, and you have 3 minutes to decide. You play this card, hand trap your opponent, and then go to your turn. And then if you only have like 30 seconds while you're in your main phase one, you can win in time with this card. So that's why it was in there. I played 3 Crossout. This is what the Power Sync Stone slot should have been. I played with that card at the beginning. It was like cool when it worked, but it was made for a lot of awkward hands, and most of the times I'd rather just have something that I would intentionally side going first to like further my own plays. You don't need a whole lot of like crazy going first cards. Like my board is really good as it is, so very hard to out. So I played 3 Crossout today. It was okay. Most of the times I would draw it and I would just set it, and my board would beat my opponent. So, so that's why I was in there today. It was just a Power Sync Stone slot. I think this card's better than that, but didn't have the experience to back it up today. Feather Duster for the back row removal. Same for Cosmic. I would bring this in a lot against Fire King and other decks where I guess what was that deck? Centurion. Where you can banish their continuous trap and so on. So this card's good. And evenly matched for the Snake Eye deck and other back row decks. Good coverage, there's not a lot of Omni negates, it usually goes through. I don't think I activated it once today, but that's what is in there just cause. And the other going first cards is 1 anti-spell and 3 D-barrier. I guess this is what the slot for the rivalry should have been, but like this kind of seems sacrilegious to play this card in a pendulum deck, but you don't really, like the pendulum is not like the main part of the strategy, so it's more about getting my board out, and I set this, and this is like worse Imperial Order, but it's really strong and lame. Probably should be banned. And then Dimensional Barrier for the matchups where it was relevant, like Tenpai Dragon and Voiceless Voice, and anything that this card actually hits was really good. Like against Tenpai Dragon, I would just sit on this card and with my board and just play with my board and just have this like as a backup in case they would like Dark Ruler or Forbidden Droplet me. So that's what that was in there for. Yeah, love the side deck. These might be options to consider moving out, but so far it did what it needed to do. That's it.
No, awesome, man. Yeah. This is what we needed. Congrats on the win. Thanks for coming back to the game. Yes. And we'll see you at Nats.
Yeah, I guess I'm going to Nats.
Awesome. We're seeing you at Nats. All right, see y'all, everyone. All right.